We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen to the show anywhere on all the apps, the FM dial. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. We got a lot to get to today. And then right before we start the show, Mason says, hey, just a heads up. I'm not going to be paying attention for like the first hour. I said, what's going on, bud? Do you want to tell the people what's going on?
I can. I'm looking for concert tickets. I'm looking for concert tickets, okay? And it won't be the first hour. I'm here. I'm paying attention. We're talking right now. You're just mad that I'm not solely focused on you.
I'm really disappointed in you. I told
Have
Mason,
I let you down this morning?
what's the show that you're trying to go see?
Go to see 21 Pilots.
Again.
Yeah.
He goes to all of the 21 Pilots shows. And at this point, it's like, dude.
It's a different show every time. If you had the chance to see WrestleMania's biggest performance yet, would you not want to go?
Okay, there's a difference, though. I've never been to a WrestleMania. I've never been.
I'm just throwing it out there.
It's completely different. If you had a chance to go see something you've never seen, wouldn't you take it? You've seen this.
You've gone to wrestling shows before.
And spoiler alert, and I don't know who needs to hear this, concerts are garbage. You can hear better audio quality of the band you like on Spotify or on Apple Music. Or
if the artist you listen to is bad.
No, every single one.
Not every single one.
Every single one.
Nope.
There is nothing that you can gain from going to a concert that you can't get via a streaming platform.
No, not pure endorphins from enjoying the music that you love with people who also love it.
It is 100% true. Concerts are garbage. And I don't know, this might be one of my hottest takes yet. Concerts are trash. Every single time.
I don't know, Chris. My wife and I went and saw Andrea Bocelli
Every concert is trash.
at the Bridgestone. And I have the burning masculinity that is better than Dan's. And I actually shed tears at that show.
Yeah.
It was like totally unbelievable. The emotion of that was
and you know, paying a $300 premium and waiting in line in the bathroom and waiting in line to get in there and having to deal with security and the kid in front of you standing up the entire time.
No, there was no kid at that show. Trust me.
Nope.
See, that's the nice thing about being 6'2", Chris. I don't have to worry about a kid standing in front of me. I'm not that short.
This is you're the guy that everybody has to worry about.
Exactly.
We sat in the front
a good time.
row. We were in the front row of the balcony. So
How much were your tickets?
Those were, I think, $280 a piece. But after all those Ticketmaster fees,
35 years of a streaming platform is what you paid. That's what you paid? Okay, got it.
But we don't go to concerts that regular, so I was willing to pay it. Once in a lifetime opportunity.
I will admit I may be a bit jaded. when I worked in music radio, I had to go to concerts all the time.
Yeah.
And they began to feel like work.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
no.
Hey, I know what you mean from that
I
perspective.
got paid to go to concerts. It's such a bad time.
It really
oh
was.
no!
It
I got to see
really
music
was.
for free.
It
Get to see
really-
artists put on a performance of the lifetime.
Really was. And it was always a letdown. Every
Old
single
Cash
time.
over here getting all mad.
I brought my brother-in-law one time, and he had never been to a concert before. And he's like, "We gotta hurry up. We gotta get there." I'm like, "Dude, we're not rushing there." He's like, "What? We're gonna miss the opener." I'm like, "You always miss the opener. Nobody wants to see the opener."
Yeah, if they
We
don't have
gotta-
a good opener.
We got to get in there. I'm like, "No, we really don't. We really don't." I'm just letting you know, concerts are garbage.
Chris has the same attitude towards concerts that everybody else has towards TSA.
I probably.
I think you get more excited for flights than you do for
Actually,
this.
if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, in the power rankings, TSA is above concerts.
I know. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
100%.
I'm like, you know what? I know.
100%. But, oh, what? So you got to go. You have to basically go through a TSA line, but you're not going anywhere fun.
Disagree.
So Mason
The
is
concert is fun.
Mason is going to half pay attention for the. He said just a heads up.
I'm paying attention.
I said, what concert are you trying to get tickets to? And he hung his head in shame because he knew. He knew. He's gone.
I knew his
he's
reaction.
gone to see 21 Pilots like 100 times.
Not true.
What do you mean, not true?
Not true.
That is 100% true.
No.
He has never missed a 21 Pilots concert.
Also, not true.
And like he'll randomly come in and be like, "My 21 Pilots record melted. You got to help me find a record spot that can help me fix the 21 Pilots record."
Again, not true.
That literally happened.
No, that was my brother's.
That literally happened.
My brother got an
And
album
what did
from the
I
weekend.
do? What did I do? I found the spot, didn't I?
Yeah. But it was my brother's album for the weekend. That wasn't 21 Pilots related.
No. Nope.
It's going to be a great show. Show in Ohio Stadium, their biggest show ever, 100,000 seats.
Got to drive
I'm
to.
excited.
Got to drive.
It's the only thing worth going to Ohio
gotta
for.
Drive to Ohio. Okay.
It's going to be a cool trip my brother's going to if we get seats. It'll be fun.
So let everybody know this is Mason too. This is so Mason. Mason is now in a queue, which is the fun British way to say
Yeah.
line. And he's got some people in front of him before he can get tickets. So while he says to me he's not going to be paying attention to the show because he's got to get tickets, it's 100,000 seat stadium. There's a 4-ticket max that you can buy.
There are.
How many people are in front of you?
Now there are 16,500.
He's
in
not
front of me.
getting even
I'm not
even
getting
at, he's
tickets.
not getting tickets.
I'm not getting tickets.
Here's the thing. He's like, I'm not going to be paying attention for the tickets I'm not going to get for the show that I've already been to, even though concerts are trash. Thank you for your
They're not
attention to this
trash.
matter.
There's a reason this station is known as opinion driven. Because your opinions can be wrong.
I'm not wrong here. I'm open to being wrong, except on this topic.
Text in. Tell Chris that he's wrong.
I am
For me.
100% correct.
Blow up the YouTube comments. Text Chris. Call Chris. Tell him how wrong he is about how concerts are.
Also, car stereo is a banger.
What is?
Car radio.
There you go.
There it is. It is. It's a good song.
It is a good song. It's fun.
Somebody texted and said Mason is the 22nd pilot. Mason wishes. He's in coach.
I can't even afford to get on the plane. I'm on a bus down below.
Mason is not. Listen, I wish I still had connections in the record industry because I would try and get you in there.
It'd be cool.
I don't, though. So,
Yeah, I know. What about your wife?
No. Shoot, you know what she would tell you? You're not going to have a good time.
No.
That's,
I will. You won't. There's a reason you're not going.
no. People saying that I'm wrong. 1307. Chris is wrong. All caps. Nope.
Thank you. Thank
Chris
you,
is
1307.
correct. Chris is correct.
Chris is jaded.
Concerts.
He'll live in his hate.
No, dude, fight me. Because
I'll fight you right now.
concerts are not worth it. Let me spend $300 to sit in the nosebleeds and hear trash audio.
I mean, if you're way up there, yeah, if you're paying $300 for way up there, yeah, bad experience, bad choice.
Just like,
I don't disagree with that.
where are you sitting?
In the queue?
That's right. That's right. Somebody, Chris Hand is dead wrong about live concerts. No, I'm not. I was 4888 said I was pro Mason until I was pro Mason until he said Ohio.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Ohio's a weird spot. It's
It
like
is a weird
it's
spot.
like the test market for everything. Do you know that?
Yeah, it's
Like-
also their hometown.
Oh,
It's a big hometown
explains a lot. But they test everything at Ohio. They say it's like the perfect melting pot of America.
Yeah, allegedly. I disagree. but-
Allegedly. But yeah, no, concerts not doing it for me.
I get that. You get more excited about strikes being paused than concerts are.
Strikes being paused?
Yeah, didn't Iran pause their strike?
Well, Donald Trump paused his strike.
Good.
So is this you trying to radio segue out of me roasting you?
Yeah, just a little
That's
bit.
what you're doing. That you're trying
See,
to.
there's
direct
a
me
reason
out of
I'm
it?
not good at it and you are.
Okay. All right. Well, to be fair, Mason is correct. Trump was asked by leaders of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, to hold off on the attack of Iran. And this does raise some interesting questions. What's the actual reasoning behind this? We're going to get it through a filter of propaganda. And I do wonder if Saudi Arabia and Qatar, if they're worried about backlash from Iran. And does this mean that Iran is stronger than we're being told? I think these are fair questions to ask. This is what Breitbart has. President Donald Trump revealed that he'd been asked by the leaders of several countries in the Middle East to hold off on a planned U.S. military attack of Iran. In a post on Truth Social, Trump shared that the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, nailed it, and Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and United Arab Emirates President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan had asked the United States to hold off on the attack that was scheduled for Tuesday. Trump noted that the request came in light of serious negotiations which were taking place. I would also point out there was a serious drone attack over the weekend on the United Arab Emirates and their nuclear facility, caused a fire. But he said, I've been asked by the Emir, blah, 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 all those guys, to hold off our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow, and that serious negotiations are now taking place. And that, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made, which will be very acceptable to the United States of America, as well as all the countries in the Middle East and beyond, President Trump said. Now, listen, I want to take the president at his word here, and I want to lean in and be able to trust President Trump. But we have heard this time and time and time and time and time again. Like, so where are we at? Like, let's have a moment of 100% honesty. Are we actually close to negotiations, or was there something else at play here? Trump continued to explain that a deal between the U.S. and Iran would include no nuclear weapons for Iran, saying, based on my respect for the above-mentioned leaders, I've instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Daniel Kaine, and the United States military that we will not be doing the scheduled attack of Iran tomorrow, but have further instructed them to be prepared to go forward with a full, large-scale assault of Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an acceptable deal is not reached. Trump's post comes after he warned on Truth Social on Sunday the clock is ticking for Iran. During an interview with Axios, President Trump also expressed that the U.S. wants to make a deal while adding that Iran was not where the U.S. needs them to be. So do you think we're closer to a deal today because we're holding off these strikes? Or do you think this is just talking points? And I think it's fair to ask these questions because how many times have we been told a deal is very, very close, only to then be told that the deal was not acceptable? How many times have we been told that we've already beat them in this war, only to have the war continue on? I'm just at a point where it's like, okay, if the only way to get through this is to go through this, then let's do that. Let's just do it. If the only way to get out of this is to do that, cut bait and get out, then let's just do that. But at a certain point, we're going to need a resolution to this conflict one way or the other. So where are we? And is Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, are they nervous about retaliations from Iran? Are they worried about their own energy infrastructure should the Islamic Republic of Iran be attacked by the United States? I think that these are fair questions, and I think that these are questions that we have to ask. Where's the truth? Maybe somewhere in the middle. But I think the longer this war goes on, the less palatable it is for the American people. I saw gas when I was driving in, and people will text me as soon as I say this, but I saw gas at $4.30 yesterday. $4.30. That's crazy. Like, absolutely insane. Now I'll get a text and somebody be like, it's $3.99 in Goodlettsville, or it's I saw it for $3.95 at Costco. You're lying. That's fake. No, okay, fine, maybe. I mean, I'm not saying that's the price everywhere. I'm just saying that's a gas station that I drove by.
It's still almost $4 everywhere.
At least.
Yeah.
At the very least. Yesterday, while President Trump was doing a big Trump RX event with Mark Cuban, of all people, which we'll get to, because I do think, listen, Iran war aside, there's a lot of good that the president is doing. And, no matter where you land on the Iran war, a lot of people think that the Iran war is a net positive for America. Maybe it's short-term pain for long-term gain. I'm open to that being the reality of the situation. But yesterday he was doing a Trump RX event with Mark Cuban, which I thought was actually a really good example of what we could do if we put aside the orange man bad rhetoric and actually work toward the common good of the American people. And I think this is something that Donald Trump is actually pretty good at. The Democrats never seem to want to concede. So he's doing this event with Mark Cuban. He takes questions from reporters like he always does. This guy is not Joe Biden. And the topic of Iran and holding off the strike was broached by a member of the press.
Speak a little bit about your post on True Social on Iran and what was the decision that why you didn't attack it.
Well, other countries have come to me and they've said we were getting ready to do a very major attack tomorrow. I've put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever, but possibly for a little while, because we've had very big discussions with Iran, and we'll see what they amount to. I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal. And if we can do that where there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran, I think, and if they're satisfied, we will be probably satisfied also. We've informed Israel. We've informed other people in the Middle East that have been involved with us. And, it's a very positive development, but we'll see whether or not it amounts to anything. We've had periods of time where we thought pretty much getting close to making a deal, and didn't work out. But this is a little bit different. Now, we're ready going tomorrow, very big, and not something I wanted to do, but we have no choice because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. Yeah.
That's the president. He's holding steady on the we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon talking point. And like clockwork, there are members of the audience that are pushing back on the gas prices. I got one text. I saw $4.06. It's not $6. Your point? Question mark. My point is this is hurting families. My point is this is hurting younger Americans. My point is this is hurting seniors. That's the point. Is this a net positive for the American people? I mean, that's the question we need to ask. And we can support President Trump and his policies and his actions and be 99.9% behind this guy and still go, is this the right move? And not be questioning, we can question this, but not be anti-Trump. Does that make sense? Because I don't feel like I'm anti-Trump at all. But I think that we need to call balls and strikes here. And we have to ask the question, when are we getting out? If we don't ask those questions, we're going to lose all credibility. And if we don't question the statements coming from the administration when they say, we're very close to a deal. Okay, well, are we closer than we were 3 weeks ago when we were told we were very close to a deal? Or are we further apart? These are fair questions to ask. It doesn't mean that you're anti-Trump. It means you're anti-war. And I've been pretty consistently anti-war. So... 7706. It's a net positive for the world, you selfish Americans. Okay? I'm about America first. America first. Is it a net positive for America? 615-737-9986. It's 924. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And if your home's not as comfortable as it should be, Well, you definitely felt it yesterday. I mean, it was, what, 90 degrees? It was hot. Well, it might be time to call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling if you need to get that temperature down. And honestly, it's a great time to do it because they have some amazing deals going on. Right now, you can get special financing on a new HVAC system with up to 12 months, no payment, no interest, no prepayment penalties, and it's going to give you some breathing room. And here's the bonus. If you install a high-efficiency system, we're talking 17 SEER or higher, you're going to land a Yeti Tundra 45 cooler for free. Not a bad deal. Perfect in time for beach and pool season. If you're more focused on air quality, the AC is good, but the air quality is iffy. Well, check out their Healthy Hive package. It includes an electronic air cleaner, a whole home UV system. Normally about $2,800. Today you can get it installed for $22.99. They'll even handle the TVA rebates for you, so you're saving more money on top of that, but you don't have to fill out any of the paperwork. So you can get up to $800 back on mini splits, $500 to $800 on heat pumps, and even $50 back on that AC tune-up that you've been putting off. You got plumbing issues, they got deals there too. $300 off whole home drain repipes, $500 off water distribution repipes. So whether it's heating, cooling, plumbing, Busy Bee's always got you covered. 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
It is 9:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get to that weather forecast here in just a moment. President Trump, he's dropped that lawsuit against the IRS, but in exchange, he has set up a fund totaling about $1.8 billion. The fund would give money to people that President Trump sees as those who were persecuted by the Biden administration's Justice Department. People who were prosecuted for the January 6th attack at the Capitol could be eligible for those funds. A 5-person panel would control the money, and some organizations tied to the president could also receive some money. More from ABC's Jonathan Karl.
The top lawyer for the Treasury Department abruptly resigned within hours of this agreement being announced. He is Brian Morrissey, and ABC News has learned that Morrissey expressed concerns about the terms of this agreement before resigning. Democrats, meanwhile, are saying that this is corrupt, possibly illegal, an effort to take taxpayer money and to give it to supporters of the president.
Well, some folks in some coastal Texas cities, they would love to be saying, "See ya later, alligator." Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
Online videos show gators, some up to 8 feet long, wandering through residential streets and front yards. Not surprisingly,
it's a concern.
Lauren Moyer lives in Siena, south of Houston, a master planned community dotted with lakes, ponds, and alligators.
Usually, we're seeing possums or snakes, but no, an alligator is very scary.
Reptile experts advise anyone who sees an alligator to leave it alone.
Yeah, that's the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Better Water LLC. Do you got some weird smells, tastes coming out of the water at your house or at your office? Well, you should get that checked out ASAP. And here's the best part. My friends at Better Water will test your water for free. And if you have anything nasty in it, sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, even E. coli, well, they can clean it up so fast. They offer a range of options from reverse osmosis, specialized filters, UV lights. Better Water has you covered, and they're total pros. They've been doing this for a while. You've probably already tasted their work around town. You see, they're treating all the water at the local coffee shops and the hospitals right in and around Smyrna, Tennessee. That's where they're based. They're a local company, and if you're tired of not having the best water at your house or at your office, well, then these guys will install what essentially is like a giant Brita filter for your whole house, or they can get one to scale down and fit right under the sink, or they can do it for your whole business. Local company, again, but you can stop drinking out of the junk out of your tap today. You can stop bathing in it today. Don't bathe your kids. Don't bathe your grandkids in it. Get peace of mind. Have them test your water for free. And if you need help, they're the company to do it. 615-355-6063, 615-355-6063, or you can find them online, betterwater.com. 36 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. The president is currently answering some questions on at the construction site for the ballroom, which is going to make a bunch of liberals salty. I think the ballroom's a fine idea. He says the taxpayers aren't going to be paying for it despite the Senate attempt. And he also has a picture of what it's going to look like. And he said it's going to essentially have Supreme Court. It's going to look like the Supreme Court facade. It's going to actually look pretty beautiful. We're monitoring this right now because I'm sure at a certain point, as with any time the president takes questions, the topic of conversation will go to Iran. And I think that is a needed update from the president, given that today was supposed to be the day where we were going to have massive strikes. Now, the president called those strikes off because of the Middle Eastern Gulf nations, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, saying, please, sir, don't do it. I think it's important to ask, why are they saying, please, sir, don't do it? Are they worried about retaliation from Iran? To me, that seems like the most obvious reason. The public statement that we're getting from the White House is that this is because negotiations are going well and that we're having strong negotiations that could lead to peace. But, I mean, stop me if you've heard this before, but we've heard this before. So I take that with a grain of salt. I did get a great text from Dave, our favorite Hebrew, and he said, since Trump's holding off at the behest of the Gulf states, does that mean that the idiots who think Trump is being controlled by the Jews will finally shut the hell up? I said, LOL, great take, but no, they won't. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. All this will mean is that the Gulf states are also being controlled by the Jews. Everyone is controlled by the Jews. I, too, have been accused of being controlled by the Jews. Somebody yesterday accused me of getting $7,000, which is, there's a social media meme. And, I mean, to be fair, there's a hint of truth to the social media meme where Israel is paying online influencers to help rehab their image. There is truth to that. But no, I don't get paid by the Jews. Never been offered. I wouldn't take the money from another nation. That's definitely not the right move at all. But here we are today. The president said that there was going to be strikes. Then they said there wasn't going to be strikes, and he said it's because of the Gulf nations. Now, we do know that the president is going to meet or has already met with individuals in the Situation Room in the White House planning an all-out assault on Iran after what was supposed to happen today had been paused. Fox News talking about this yesterday.
At the White House in the Situation Room. This as they weigh next steps on finishing the mission in Iran. So whether that's through combat or diplomacy, that's the point in question.
So now the president's saying that U.S. forces remain ready to attack at a moment's notice, but there's diplomatic momentum prompting him to hold off, at least for now.
We were getting ready to do a very major attack tomorrow. I've put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever, but possibly for a little while, because we've had very big discussions with Iran, and we'll see what they amount to. I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal.
Meanwhile, Israel is keeping a close eye on all of this. It has been 3 months since Israel.
So that's the latest. President Trump is answering questions outside the site of the ballroom, and he is. I mean, construction's active on the ballroom, but we're waiting for some of the audio to leak out on the questions that he's taken about Iran. We'll bring you those as soon as possible. But I don't know. I don't really get the talking points. Everybody says you can't trust the Iranians. The Iranians are going to lie to you. And at the same time, it's like, well, we're holding off attacks because negotiations are going good. Okay. It just feels like we're in Groundhog Day on this conversation. And I'm of the opinion if the only way out is through, then let's just go as hard as humanly possible and get this done immediately. Maybe that's the wrong move, but if we have to win, then what are we doing holding back? Like, again, I'm not the biggest fan of this war, but if the only way we can get out and save face is to demolish the country, then just do it. Like, can we just stop tiptoeing around? I mean, like, whatever we need to do. Space lasers, nukes, like, you name it. Like, let's just go through and do it if that's the only way to resolve it. If you're telling me that it can be resolved through negotiations, I'm like, you're the same people that are telling us that you can't trust the Iranians anytime, that even if we do negotiate a peace with them, well, they'll be back at it in no time. So then we're back at doing the exact same song and dance, what, in a year, 2 years? Or just cut bait and leave. Like, whatever we need to do to get it over with, just get it over with. I think the American people are just fatigued by this conflict. Gary in Springfield, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Gary?
Hey, real quick, 2 points. Those of us who trained during the Cold War, even the most hardened Islamist types, one Saudi captain told me in '84, look, when it comes to Westerners, you're like dogs. I mean, lying to a dog doesn't even know they're being lied to. So this whole thing with the Iranians, we're dogs to them. They're lying to us all the time. There aren't going to be any negotiations. What we need to do, number 2, is just get in those tunnels. That's where they are. That's where the drones are. That's where their missile capability is. Get in there, wipe them out. Don't give them any quarter. They don't deserve any quarter. And you just kill them. Now, we have to bomb the heck out of that country. I don't know about that. But go right to the source and finish them off. They're in the
So you want to, and Gary, you call in all the time, man, and I like you, but you're advocating for boots on the ground.
I don't know any other way to do it. Technology is only a combat multiplier. It's nothing else. You cannot replace the soldier on the ground going right to the people doing this. They're doing it.
This isn't, but then that's only going to extend the conflict, and the guy campaigned on no more forever wars. Like, how many trillions of dollars, how many trillions of dollars do we want to throw at this? How many American lives do we want to throw at this? You know, we have a veteran suicide epidemic that is directly correlated with the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Do you want to see another one of those in 15 years?
Well, I'm Vietnam era, and I'll tell you point blank, the reason for that stuff, and it even happened in World War II as well, but the reason for that stuff is point blank. We get into wars and we don't really finish them, per se. And that's what is it. And you got a guy who's got no arms and legs, or he's been through hell, and he turns around, he sees these clowns. It's like, oh, it's just a game for them. They lost nothing.
I just think it's absolutely, I think this is absolutely an asinine undertaking to think that we're going to go boots on the ground and be able to bring democracy to a country like Iran, which is inevitably one of the talking points that they'll bring us, when they're currently arming children in the streets.
You can't bring democracy to the Arab world.
But what I'm saying is that there's, even if we went in there, we're not going to change the way that they're thinking. That's my thought process. They're currently, I mean, CNN for some reason is allowed on the ground in Tehran to do some reporting, and CNN is there, and they have video on CNN that shows children being armed in the streets. So, like, what do we think is going to happen in a country of 90 million people when they're literally arming women and children in the streets currently? How many boots on the ground are we willing to send? How many lives are we willing to lose? Because it's going to be a hell of a lot more than what we've already suffered.
Well, that's what we did in Japan. They armed the kids. They trained the kids. We're going to lose 1 million lives, so we nuked them.
So you think, so is that the option? I mean, is that the only way to get this over with, nuking Iran?
My only option is we should have had enough intel to know that you can get rid of the leaders and always get rid of leaders and always get rid of leaders, but to bomb a culture into oblivion doesn't work in the Arab world. That's where we went wrong, and I don't know who advised all this stuff.
Well, I think you're right that bombing them into oblivion isn't going to work. I mean, like, you would literally have to take out everybody. But I would say the exact same thing is true for boots on the ground. If you're arming women and children in the streets in a country of 90 million people, like how on earth do you think we're going to get through that?
All I can say is if we special ops this whole thing into those tunnels where you get the actual fighters, the real fighters. I mean, how could this thing be so misread? The backbone for their entire defense was the missile system, and that's all underground.
I mean, but I think we have the greatest military in the world. I also think it's naive to think that we're going to be able to go into those mountain ranges and into those tunnels and know the terrain better than the people that live there.
Well, I don't know. I'm a 20-year vet. All I know is, and I retired in 96 and went in 71. He went to college and became an officer. I did a war fighter. The war fighters, we're in it. If you ask them, they say, let's go all the way, they'll go all the way. But now we're in it, and we got to stay safe, and I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either, Gary. And listen, man, I love it when you call in, and I appreciate you, and I respect the call. But boots on the ground in a country that is literally arming women and children currently, that sounds insane. And just in case you're curious, this was the report from CNN last night.
Escalating threats from the White House. Ordinary Iranians are now being urged to prepare for war.
Right, well, these rallies or gatherings have been taking place every single night for the past several weeks, and so they're not new. But what is new is the introduction of weapons. And these kiosks have been set up in each of these sort of squares where members of the military there, you can see them with masks on, they're showing people, in this case a woman, the basic skills of how to use what I think is an AK-47 or a Kalashnikov and things like that. Look over here. They're showing children how to use them as well. It's all part of a sort of state-sponsored call to arms.
I mean, so if you put boots on the ground, behind every door, there might be an armed Iranian woman or children willing to shoot American troops. And that's even before we get in the tunnels. Just that sounds like an absolute disaster waiting to happen. I don't want to risk our men and women in the military in this kind of a terrain. I think that is a fool's errand. And I think that turns into a forever war before we know it. I mean, it feels like this thing is already dragging on longer than anybody told us it would. 4 to 6 weeks has now turned into week 11. And I understand in the grand scheme of things, if there's a peace deal tomorrow, a lasting peace deal, then my point is null and void. It's moot. But until that happens, people are looking at this thing going, this is not what we voted for. $4 and something gas, not what we voted for. That's not the affordability promise. No more forever wars. We're in another quagmire in the Middle East. And say what you will, the longer this goes on, the more of a quagmire it becomes. But we're going to hold off strikes because negotiations are going good. The same people that are negotiating and lying through their teeth, make it make sense. Can anybody make this make sense? How do we get out of this? Honestly. The president was asked about Iran moments ago while he's giving an update on his big, beautiful ballroom, and this is what he had to say.
We're negotiating with Iran, and then you have the Democrats, I call them the Democrats, putting in a bill that Trump should immediately stop. You know how it is to negotiate with a country where you're beating them badly? They come to the table, they're begging to make a deal, because they're begging to make a deal. I hope we don't have to do the war, but we may have to give them another big hit. We may have to give them another big hit.
Listen, I would just say respectfully, Mr. President, you've been telling us that they've been begging for a deal for, a month now? I like the guy. I voted for him 6 times. Outside of the Iran conflict, there are many, many wins that we can point to from President Trump. And we do. But we have to call balls and strikes here. If they're begging for a deal, why hasn't a deal been made? They've been begging for weeks for a deal, according to the president. Yet we're nowhere near closer today than I feel like we were 3-4 weeks ago. But they're begging for a deal.
Not sure yet. You'll know very soon. But How do you feel when you're negotiating, you're winning every point, and they say, but in Washington, they want to stop you from negotiating. They want to stop you, and it's only political. It's the Democrats. They're dumb. It's a new name. It's a very accurate name. So I'm in the middle of a negotiation. I'm saying you cannot have a nuclear weapon, and it comes over the wire that the Democrats want to stop Trump from further negotiations. They want to stop Trump from, if he has to, giving them another slap. They want to have a nuclear weapon to blow up the Middle East and to blow up, frankly, the world. It's not going to happen.
That's the president moments ago. Outside, you hear the construction going on as they're building the big, beautiful ballroom. Listen, I don't want the Democrats to dictate foreign policy. I think that we have the right guy leading the charge. Let's make that perfectly clear. I'd rather have no one outside of President Trump doing this. But we can still call balls and strikes and say, if they're begging for a deal, and they have been begging for a deal, why does it seem like a deal is still just as far away as it was a few weeks ago? It's 9:52. We'll take some of your calls on the way. Mark, John, Jeff, hang on, guys. We'll get to you next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Zero Res in Nashville. The kids are starting to get out of school. They're coming in and out of the house at a much higher frequency with the weather getting warmer. And immediately you'll look down and you'll realize the carpets are the real victim here. It's the carpets that take the beating. And you know what? My carpets take a beating. We got 4 kids, 2 dogs. We don't stress, though. We call our friends at Zero Res. What stands out to me is they don't use harsh chemicals. They don't use soaps that leave residue behind. It means you got carpets that are looking so clean, but they're also safe for the entire family and all the pets, which fits right in with the whole Maha idea of keeping our homes healthier. And the difference is going to be obvious right away to you. The carpets are going to feel softer, dry faster than any cleaning you've ever had done before. And I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm not the only one noticing. There's thousands of reviews online. And Zero Res has one of the best ratings in all of Nashville. Right now, they're running 2- and 3-room specials. So call 615-535-9376 to take advantage of that today. 615-535-9376 or go to ZeroResNashville.com. 9:59, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Ham. We're going to take some calls on the Iran stuff here shortly. Mark and John, hang on the line. The president was asked moments ago, how close were we to striking Iran and getting things started again?
How close were you to striking Iran? You said
I was an hour away. We were all set to go. You're talking about yesterday.
Yes.
We were going to be striking it would have been happening right now. Yeah, it was all done. The boats, the ships are all loaded. They're loaded to the brim. And we were all set to start.
It would have been happening right now, he said. Now, another interesting piece of information, the president said he's pretty much aware of how unpopular this is, but he doesn't care.
I'm not doing this politically. Look, everyone tells me it's unpopular, but I think it's very popular. When they hear that it's having to do with nuclear weapons, weapons that could take out Los Angeles, could take out major cities very quick. When they hear that, when they're explaining, I'll tell you what, when we explain it to people, I don't really have enough time to explain it to people. I'm too busy getting it done. When they understand, I think it's frankly very popular. But whether it's popular or not popular, I have to do it.
That's his take. I think it's extremely unpopular. And I think that there's plenty of time to explain it to the American people. If you can explain it in such a way that would make everybody go, okay, that makes sense. I would just say, why haven't we laid it out like that yet? We'll take some of your calls on the way. It's 10 o'clock. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is now 1 minute past 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. The weather forecast is coming up. The Trump administration taking another step toward privatizing some airport security functions. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us about the launch of a new program.
The most recent partial government shutdown created hours-long lines at airport security checkpoints. One potential solution, says TSA Deputy Administrator Ha-Win McNeil, turning the job over to someone else.
Privatization has always been a part of the TSA construct.
A new program called TSA Gold Plus would redirect federal funds to private security companies to operate checkpoints with oversight from the TSA, but only at airports that opt in.
Long Island Railroad workers, they're expected to get back to work today. They reached a tentative agreement with the MTA on a new contract overnight. But those workers, they didn't get back in time for the morning commute this morning. ABC's Phil Tate, he's suffering with other commuters in Mineola, New York.
Good news for many passengers who use it each day. We can expect to hear the sounds of the railroad yet again. Partial service will be restored at noon. Details on this deal are still tight-lipped as the rank and file has to approve it before the strike is officially over. The union, representing 3,500 workers, wanted a 5% increase on the final year of their contract, as the MTA was willing to come as close to 4.5% with a number of concessions.
A mega utility merger. It's being proposed that could affect millions of customers from Florida, South Carolina, Virginia, and it would create the world's largest regulated utility. ABC's Sophie Flay has more.
In a $67 billion deal, NextEra Energy plans to acquire Dominion Energy. It comes as Americans pay more for electricity. Rates are up more than 7% in the last year. But they've jumped more than 12% in states like Virginia, where Dominion is headquartered. It's home to the biggest concentration of data centers in the U.S.
That is the latest news. We've got weather on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
I'm not doing this politically. Look, everyone tells me it's unpopular, but I think it's very popular. When they hear that it's having to do with nuclear weapons, weapons that could take out Los Angeles, could take out major cities very quick. When they hear that, when they're explaining, I'll tell you what, when we explain it to people, I don't really have enough time to explain it to people.
That's the president just a little while ago outside the construction site of the big, beautiful ballroom, which I do support. I think it's actually a good idea. But everybody knows we need it, and we've been paying money for tents out on the White House lawn for years. It's actually going to save us money, and the taxpayers aren't paying anything. That aside, he says it's people tell me it's unpopular. I think it's very popular. Okay, I would gently push back against that. I think that this is a very unpopular conflict.
Too busy getting it done. When they understand, I think it's frankly very popular. But whether it's popular or not popular, I have to do it.
That's the president. Whether it's popular or not, he says he has to do it. He says he doesn't have enough time to explain it. Somebody said to me, there goes Chris siding with the enemy. And I was like, I literally said, just nuke him if you have to. I don't know how that's siding with the enemy. This is an extremely unpopular conflict. Sorry. It is. Independents, moderates, younger conservatives. It seems like the only, the massive support for this conflict that we're being told is out there is coming from conservatives 60 and up. And I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush, and I'm not trying to bash the older conservatives. I appreciate you guys for what you've done. A lot of our audience are in that age range, and they're great. They're conservatives. They're veterans, and we respect the hell out of them. Make no mistake about it. But if you're looking at the grand picture, the big picture, and you're zooming out across America, this conflict is extremely unpopular. But let's open the phone lines to you. What do you think? Let's do a vibe check on Iran. Mark on the road's been holding for a minute. What's up, Mark? How are you?
I always enjoy talking to you, Chris. I just don't understand. If he wants to get away from the name Taco President, he's going to have to pull the trigger. He can't. They know he's going to back down every time he puts a red line out. He is backing down way too much for them to even take him seriously. He wants to blame everybody else, but he's going to have to pull. He's going to have to let them know that, hey, there's consequences if you drag this out. I don't like that idea. I think that he's going to basically push the world into a recession before this is all done, unless he's able to resolve this pretty quickly. The whole world is going to be in a recession just because the costs are going up astronomically, all over, and not just here but everywhere.
Give me a percentage chance on this being over very quickly in your estimate, Mark.
I don't think it's got a snowball's chance in hell of being over anytime soon.
I'm with you, and I think that's the worst part about it. Mark, I appreciate the call. Let's go to John in Collinwood. What's up, John?
Morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I would just like to make a couple quick comments. First, I don't think this is going to be over quick unless they do decide to go ahead and do a huge hit and then leave. I think that the outcome is not going to be what we wanted, which, even though they didn't state it, was regime change or no longer having religious zealots in charge of that country. I think we're to the point where they might just have to knock out their oil fields and get on out. And if that keeps them broke for 2 generations, maybe we'll have 2 generations of no terrorism sponsored throughout the
Okay, but if we go in and we knock out, there's a reason why they haven't done that yet. If we go in and we knock out their oil infrastructure, then they're going to do the exact same thing to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, which is one of the reasons why I think those countries were asking President Trump to hold off on the strike. If that happens, then, I mean, the entire globe is affected.
Well, we can't let them keep pumping oil so they won't slow their wells down. I mean, we're going to let them just pump oil into the Strait of Hormuz because they don't have any place to put their oil anymore. I mean, either we back off for the sake of oil, or we engage for the sake of peace in the future. And I think that what's to be gained in the future is far greater than what we're going to lose now.
But if we game plan that out. If we take out oil infrastructure, right, and then they go out and they take out the oil infrastructure in all these other countries, you're talking about 15, 20 years before anything is rebuilt back.
Maybe so. Yeah.
You
That's
think
right.
you think that that's worth it?
I think that we're in a crossroads in our history, in humanity's history. We're making it through the information age. We made it through the industrial age. Now we have to make it through peace. And I'm not talking through one world government or anything like that, but we have to have rules again. Honestly, the UN has really kind of messed things up since it switched from a League of Nations to the UN. And we have given too many bit players too much power over too many things in the world. And it's time to start backing that away. I know that doesn't go along with the failed liberalism policies and plans that we've been trying for 50 years. Liberalism is basically, that's a whole other discussion, but liberalism is basically a failed experiment in our country, and it's affected the rest of the world. Look what's going on with the Muslims in Europe right now, taking over. But I digress. But we do have to do one or the other in Iran. Either we have to push forward and totally get a regime change, or we have to disable their ability to make money so they can't export terrorism anymore. We have to do one of those two things before we get out of there.
But wasn't
We've
that
invested too much?
And just playing devil's advocate here, isn't that the point of the blockade?
You're right. You want to keep the blockade up forever? I'm all for that. But at what point will they go? What point will we say, okay, well, you got to stop pumping oil into the Strait of Hormuz, and they give us the middle finger and keep doing what they want to do? President Trump is at a point, and he's kind of at the same point that Ronald Reagan was at. And if Iran would have just messed around for 2 more days, we could have had a totally different Middle East at this point. If he would have, when President Reagan took over, and they still had those hostages, and I'm in my 60s, so I remember all of that very clearly. And he told them, if you don't release these hostages the day I take office, we are coming in. And if that would have happened, we would have been looking at a whole different Middle East for the last few years. There might have been another Hydra head of the snake that popped up here and there, that we would have had to knock down. But it would have been a whole different ballgame. President Trump is at that point now. He's at the point where he can change history going forward, and I mean majorly change history going forward.
I agree with that. I just think
not to just save $1 on gas. Not to save $2.
I think we have as equal of a chance of it changing history negatively as we do positively at this point.
My last point, and you're right, but my last point. So if all of the Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and if they're so worried about their oil infrastructure and they're so worried about what might happen, why are they still withholding and letting the world go through all this BS when they're still withholding oil from production for OPEC? OPEC is still on a purposeful cutback of oil production still.
Yeah, well, I believe it was the UAE, and fact check me on this, Mason. Thanks for the call, John. I think the UAE left OPEC. I think they said, yeah, we're out. Deuces. Jim in Coffee County, you think the war is popular?
Well, it is amongst folks that I talk to. I know that I wouldn't say that it's popular in the sense that everybody likes it, but I think most people understand it's something that needs to be done. It should have been done a long time ago, and they're willing to suffer these high gas prices. And what little inflation we got is a very small price to pay to get a new and safer Iran, because those people are the most evil and crazy people on earth, and they have been attacking Americans for 47 years, our bases and everything. And the only way that they're ever going to capitulate is the same way, I think, in the end, that Japan capitulated in World War II. In World War II, the Japanese worshipped that emperor, and they would fight to the death. They would never give up. There's only a few hundred Japanese that ever gave up in that war. And so we're at a point where we're going to have to essentially bring that country to heel in order to have the kind of peace that we need. And once that's done, no matter if we have to put boots on the ground, whatever it takes is what we're going to have to do, because we're at that point in history. And if we get it done right, if we finish the fourth quarter, like Alabama usually does, then everybody will see. But not everybody sees. We have a mass misinformation going on in this country.
Yeah, well, Jim, I appreciate the call, man. Let's go to Billy in Nashville, who is a veteran. Thanks for your service, Billy. Give me your perspective.
My perspective is this, Chris. I've listened to y'all every day. I'm in my car 90% of the time, going from different job sites to job sites. And the one thing that really aggravates me and about you personally that sort of bothers me is, yes, we needed to get into this, and yes, we needed to do it, and we need to try to do it quick. Not everything works out quick, because there's a lot of people here in the United States that are actually working against President Trump, that their enemies look at and say, you know, things that boost them up to where they figure they can do something. And then also yourself, there's times like, well, I don't know if I agree with this war now. Yeah, it may not be popular and you may not agree with it, but either you need to agree with the military of the United States and our leader, or you need to agree with the Muslims, because every time you say you disagree with it, it gives them a little bit more power themselves.
How do you say that this is a binary choice, that either I'm agreeing with the military or I'm agreeing with Muslims, when I don't want boots on the ground and our soldiers going into a country with 90 million people in a terrain that the locals know far better than we do to what? When behind every door there could be a child or a woman armed, ready to take out our soldiers. What? How am I agreeing with the Muslims when I literally have said on this program, if I want it done quickly, if that means nuking them, if that's the right choice, then fine. Like let's get through it. If that means cutting bait and getting out of there, fine, let's do it. How on earth does that make me siding with the Iranians? See, that's like our greatest generation. Our veterans way before me that fought in the Second World War. They knew what they were going into. They knew what they were doing. They knew that lives were going to be lost. There is a cost to war. Yeah, I understand that.
But I'll
respectfully push.
You're wanting no cost. No boots on the ground.
I'll respectfully push back. Billy, and I appreciate your service. I love that you listen, man. And I don't want to make it me versus you, but I respectfully push back and say that I had many friends serve in the last two Middle Eastern conflicts, and what did we get out of that? To talk about World War II is great, but I mean that's closer to 100 years ago than it is to the last conflicts that we were in. And the last conflicts that the neocon regime got us in, we got nothing out of it except an epidemic of veteran suicides, a VA that doesn't work for them, homeless veterans on our street. I just have a hard time putting this and saying that it's America first.
Hey, you let me say what we can get out of it?
By all means.
What we can get out of it is we can get strong again. We can do things again. We can build our country up.
How are we going to get strong again and build our country up if we spend another few $1 trillion on a Middle Eastern conflict, and if gas prices are through the roof and inflation is hitting Americans? How do we do that?
Hey,
the last two wars cost us trillions of dollars. We're $39 trillion in debt. Like,
I don't make that much. Look, listen, I don't make that much money, and I know I don't make as much as you. I get through paycheck to paycheck a lot of times, but the thing is, you've got to do this because it's a turning point in our world's history. And the only reason the others were such quagmires is because look how Biden pulled out. He showed the world to make them think that we were weak.
I mean, to
we
be
even
fair,
had our other leaders that were Republican leaders that made mistakes.
Listen, but to be fair, it was a
strong leader right now.
But it was a it was a quagmire before Biden pulled out. It was a quagmire during Bush. It was a quagmire during Obama. It was a quagmire during Trump won. Like the quagmire was there through 2 Republican presidents.
I don't think I said there were some other Republican leaders in it, and I believe that Trump during his first term was led by people that did not give him full advice like he needed it. I believe there were people, and in his own administration that were working against him. I think he has the leaders in there now that are willing to go after it and take care of the job and get things done.
I mean, you say that, but the president still comes back every day and he's like, well, negotiations are going good. How many times has he said negotiations are going good before he tells us that negotiations are crap and that the proposals are junk? And you know what I mean? Like, I get where you're coming from. Well, and I do respect the hell out of you, Billy, and I do appreciate you serving. But I just, it seems like we're 2 different generations colliding on this one.
Well, I know myself, like I said, like you said, 2 generations, but you can also look back to our generations. We did what needed to be done. We sacrificed what needed to be sacrificed.
I mean,
we did things.
I think your generation sacrificed a ton.
Even though I was in my 40s when we really got into it in Iraq, my children were young. I even went and asked the military about getting in because I was borderline, and I was going to get back in what I did, which a lot of people wouldn't like to know some of the things I did. But what I did also was they sent me actually the paperwork to come back in, and my wife, because of my children being little, hid the paperwork, and I never knew they sent it. And that's just the way I feel. The greatest honor a veteran or anybody in the military in this country can have is to die for their country if it need be.
I mean, I hear you. I just don't know if this is the greatest need right now for America. And Billy, I
feel like it is because I've been watching what's going on in our world, and I know you have too. But there are things that cannot continue the way they are, and there's going to have to be changed, and it's going to have to be taken care of. And if we don't do it now, it's only going to be worse if we try to go back and do it in another 15 or 20 years, because nobody will be with us, even though there's hardly NATO won't do anything now. But it's just a time where this is going to define how the world goes in the future. And if we don't do something, then you may as well just go ahead and declare yourself an infidel and let the Muslims take over like they're doing in London and Europe.
Listen, I think one of the things that we can agree on, Billy, is that this is going to define where the country goes in the future. I appreciate the call, man, and I do appreciate your service. Call in anytime. Let's go to Brad in Bowling Green, also a veteran. What's up, Brad? Thanks for your service, man.
Hey, thank you. I was just been listening to this stuff, and I think there's some things that a lot of people have missing or haven't discussed much. And one of those things is it's not the Iranian people that we're after, okay? Prior to 1978, before the Islamic Republic took over in Iran, Tehran was like the party city in the Middle East. It was like Dubai, okay? Party city, I mean, straight up 70s rock and roll, you know, it was the place. The Islamic Republic comes in there and literally overnight changes everything. You know, women are wearing burqas. You can't see nothing but their eyeballs, you know, when they're walking down the street.
Yeah.
And then 19, they take the hostages, of course, under Carter. We go in there and try to rescue, and had some issues there. Had a couple of helicopters hit each other in the ground out there at Eagle One. And then Reagan wins the election in 80. Well, between the time he won the election and the time he took office, I accessed some things I probably shouldn't have accessed while I was in the military, but I did access it and read it. Reagan pretty much told the Islamic Republic that if those 52 Americans were not in U.S. allied hands on U.S. territory or U.S. soil by the time I take office, which was in January of 81, the city of Tehran is going to lead the map. And they were like, well, what about your American hostages? He said, 52 Americans. The city of Tehran will leave the map. Okay? That's pretty much what he told them. Well, if you look and see, within an hour of him being sworn in, the hostages were released within the hour. Okay? Now, you can go back to 1980 and track every terrorist attack that's happened worldwide, and about 90% of them you can track back, if not more 90%, you can track back to Iran's involvement. Either they gave people money, they gave people the equipment and the means to do the attack, they brought the people into Iran or into a Hamas base somewhere over there in Syria or wherever and trained them how to do it and sent them back to wherever, or they straight up were, 100% involved worldwide. This has been happening since 1980, okay? They've killed thousands of Americans. They've killed thousands of other people on every continent on this planet. And if you think for one damn second that if they get a nuclear weapon, if you don't think they're going to pop one off in Israel as soon as they get it, you've lost your mind. If you don't think the second one they get is going to be somewhere in the U.S. soil or U.S. territory, you've lost your mind, okay?
Well, hey, listen, Brad, we're up against it, man. I do appreciate your service. I appreciate the call. We'll take more of your calls on the other side. It's 1028. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
It is 10:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get you a weather forecast here in a moment. The Treasury Department's general counsel, he quit his job yesterday after the Trump administration announced plans to move forward with a $1.8 billion fund for people who claim they were unfairly targeted by the Biden Justice Department. ABC's Stephen Portnoy, he has an updated report from D.C.
Under the arrangements made public by the Justice Department, the $1.8 billion settlement fund will be controlled by a 5-member board appointed by the Attorney General, with one of the members recommended by congressional leaders. The members can be removed by the president for any reason. Their decisions will be final, with no appeals allowed. The disbursement of taxpayer money is to be kept confidential. with the names of recipients provided only to the Attorney General.
Health officials around the globe are monitoring an outbreak of a rare strain of Ebola. The variant has been deemed concerning by the World Health Organization, although officials also say the chances for widespread infection, those chances are rather low here in the U.S. We hear now from ABC's Faith Abube.
Right now, health officials say there are no positive Ebola cases here on U.S. soil. However, the CDC is working with the State Department and global health partners in order to potentially evacuate American citizens overseas who have been exposed to the virus.
Back here in Tennessee, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says it's been asked to investigate 18 officer-involved shootings statewide so far this year, including a shooting this past Sunday in Hickman County. According to the TBI, the investigations involve multiple agencies across the state, including police departments, sheriff's offices, and federal law enforcement. The most recent case listed by the agency involves the Hickman County Sheriff's Office this past Sunday. Other investigations this year have involved agencies in Chattanooga, Knoxville, Smyrna, Bristol, Memphis, as well as other smaller communities. In comparison, the TBI reported investigating 54 officer-involved shootings last year. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at United Structural Systems. And let's be honest, foundation issues, it's one of those things homeowners don't want to deal with. We pretend we don't even see it. We'll see a crack. Maybe a door doesn't close right. Your driveway starts thinking. You're like, this is fine. We can deal with this later. But later, well, later means expensive, more expensive. This is why you need to trust United Structural Systems. They've been doing this since 1994 here in Tennessee, and what you can appreciate is their approach to the work. No scare tactics, no overselling. They're not going to send a sales guy to your house worried about a quota. They're going to send a pro that's actually going to take the time to inspect your home, explain what's going on, and most of all, tell you the truth. If you don't need repairs, well, that's what they say. And if you do, you'll understand exactly why before the work gets started. And they handle everything from foundation repair to crawl space work to concrete leveling, and they do it with systems that are designed to last. Right now, you can get peace of mind and pay later with 24 months, no interest financing now through the end of June. Don't let your foundation problems get worse while you wait. Visit USSTN.com or pick up the phone and call my guys today, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. It's United Structural Systems, committed to their customers, invested in what matters most. We are USSTN.com. 1038 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen to us anywhere. All the apps, the FM dial. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. Hit subscribe while you're there. Appreciate you doing so, helping us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. A lot of people angry. Here's one of the things that bugs me. I feel like as conservatives, we can agree on 90% of the issues, 95%, 99.7% of the issues. But it's like the moment we disagree a little bit, the anger comes out. And it's like, why are you angry at me? Because I'm questioning the war in Iran, if it's the right move. I've said on numerous occasions. I got one text here, and he said, well, explain to all us dumbasses what's your better plan. And it's like, okay. I mean, I've said it a couple times. I think we need to crap or get off the pot. I think that's kind of where we're at. If that means nuking them, sending them into obliteration, then do it. If that means cutting bait and going home, then do that. I don't want another long-term Middle Eastern conflict. And at the same time, we're being told that we're holding off on strikes because negotiations are ongoing, and they're going to lead to something good. But at the same time, I'm being told you can't trust anything the Iranians say because they lie out both sides of their mouth. But we should hold off on striking them because we're negotiating. And we've been told a couple times we've already won, and we've been told that negotiations are ongoing and that they're good. Then we're told that the negotiations are crap. And then we're told negotiations are happening. This is good. Then we're told, well, we're negotiating with the wrong people because the other half, they don't like the negotiations. They want war. It feels like we're just stuck here in limbo, and we're just waiting for a resolution one way or the other. And I don't care which way we get resolution. I just want to get out of it. But it seems like if you're for the Iran war, and I question it at all, the reaction is like visceral anger, which I just don't understand because like we agree on pretty much everything else. So why can't we have a conversation? That's what we're here for. We're here for conversation and debate. Donald Trump says he's giving Iran a limited period of time. And this is what he said earlier this morning.
Both nations know. How long did they know that you were planning the both nations?
They knew I was getting ready to attack. I didn't tell them. I'd never tell anybody when.
You're in constant contact?
I never tell anybody when, but they knew that we were very close. I would say I was an hour away from making the decision to go today. And we would probably not be talking about a beautiful ballroom today. We'd be talking about that. And I had made the decision. So they called up. They had heard I made the decision. They said, sir, could you give us a couple of more days? Because we think they're being reasonable.
Okay, but aren't we often told that one of Iran's game plans is to drag feet and stall? So how is this any different than the last time? Again, I like the president, voted for him 6 times, net positive over Kamala Harris. We should be able to call balls and strikes here. Like, oh, this time they mean it. This time they're negotiating in good faith. This time they're not dragging their feet. Again, we have to crap or get off the pot here. In the meantime, you're hurting American families. You're hurting American seniors. Like, what are we doing? I get text after text. People are like, this is absolutely killing me. So, we have to do this? And to be fair, I don't necessarily believe that the United States was in the crosshairs of a nuclear weapon imminently. I mean, you can make the argument that they were. Okay. I don't see it. But some people disagree with that. And if I'm just saying that, I'm going to get angry text messages because of a difference of opinion when we should be on the same team. I feel like a lot of people have blinders on in this situation. Maybe I have the blinders. See, the difference is I'm open to that, and I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to your opinion as well. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Ben in Winchester. Ben, thanks for holding, man. What do you got?
Hey, so I'm just going to say thank you for taking the call first. One of the things that concerns me is the character of our president. We have no allies left in any aspect of what we're doing with trade or anything. And that lack of character is what's really causing us, and where we can't get together as a uniformed, as a unified country, and make this thing work. That's my view. Like, we got a leadership issue. The second thing, real quick, is my dad served, I served, my son's about to come up on 20. And I just left a little while ago the Memories of Honor boot display for Memorial Day down in Franklin Bicentennial Park, where I saw boots of soldiers I knew, that soldiers that were lost under my son's command. A lieutenant from Woodbury. This is a great lieutenant. So everybody's like, yeah, there's going to be sacrifices. There's going to be sacrifices. Yeah, those are real people.
Yeah.
And we have to be clear about what we're doing, because those are real families. Go down there and check out those booths, and it's like, oh, I served. We're going to have sacrifices. And that's not a real good view of the world, because it does impact us in ways you'll never know. And that's it.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. The cost is absolutely real. And I would just ask, why? 615-737-9986. Dave in Franklin says I'm asking the wrong question. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, hey, so, I don't understand your question. Is the war popular? What are you trying to get at?
What do you mean?
Popularity.
That's not a question I asked. I said the war is unpopular with Americans.
I don't know. I've been listening to you. I've heard you ask the question. But anyway, politicians do stuff that's popular so they don't lose votes. And, I'm one of your callers a while ago. I just turned 67. I'm tired of our politicians, leaders, kicking cans down the street. We've been kicking the border can down the street. We've been kicking Social Security down the street. We need some change on this stuff. And we've been kicking Iran down the street, and they've been, doing their nuclear bomb construction stuff. And I agree. It'd be really bad if they turned one loose on Israel or anywhere else. It would make 9/11 look small.
Yeah, I agree with that. But didn't the president say last year that we completely obliterated their nuclear capabilities and facilities?
Yeah, so I don't understand.
So why wouldn't we? But if this was a Democrat president, if this was Joe Biden, we would have been so much more critical of that. And now we're back in it, and now we're still saying we can't let them to get a nuclear weapon. And now we're also saying negotiations are going good after we've also been told that they're dragging their feet, they're stalling, and they're lying. So I'm having a hard time wondering, both of these things can't be true at the exact same time.
Yeah, I get you there, but wait a minute. What do you say about if this was a Democratic president? It'd be
said if it was Joe Biden that bombed the nuclear facility back in 2025, June of 2025, right? Operation Midnight Hammer. And they said we completely obliterated the nuclear facility. Conservatives would absolutely be losing their mind that we were back in this war.
You're speculating.
To be fair, to be fair, that is speculation because we don't have a Democratic president. But I tend to think that would be the case.
Well, I don't think it's about being Democratic or Republican. It's about having the balls to do things that need to be done and not worried about popularity. I like Trump because he's got balls and he makes stuff happen. He closed the border in a very short period of time, and everybody said, oh, we can't do it. It's been Republicans and Democrats that said we can't do it. He did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I give him credit for that. And I've said multiple times that he has done a lot of good so far in his first term. And I think a lot of the blemishes on his record currently really are at the feet of Senate Republicans for doing just that, dragging their feet when it comes to the Trump agenda. But when it comes to the Iran war, we're being told that Trump has stones, but we're also negotiating with people that we know we're also being told are known liars and like to drag their feet and stall this stuff out as long as they can.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. But I guess my point is, tell me that there's ever been a war that was popular, quote unquote. There's never been a popular war. They always are worse than you think it's going to be when you go into it. And I don't understand how we could obliterate their military and they're still able to, exert this control over the Strait of Hormuz that they've been. You know, I mean, is there still work to be done? I'm with your caller earlier. If there is, let's get it done because we can't kick this can no more.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I made the point earlier, like if that means nuking them, then okay. Like get it done as quickly as possible. If that means cutting bait and going home, okay, let's get it done as quickly as possible. Michael in Memphis, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Appreciate you taking my call.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I was thinking about how people are, you know, whining so much. And, you know, body bags are not coming home right now, okay? And this situation didn't start the day Trump took office. It's been going on since the 1970s. We wouldn't be here right now if the CIA, the Muslims, and the fascists didn't work together to overthrow Iran. Okay, it wasn't the CIA that did it, but they were messing around in there and kind of loosened things up and screwed it up. And then each president has, you know, screwed it up after that. But you just had Israel take out Hamas after October 7th. So Hamas is done. If you take out Iran, okay, and I'm not talking about boots on the ground. I'm talking about bombing them, taking over Karg Island, and squeezing them that way. Not a bunch of people going inside the country and going into tunnels, anything like that. Eventually, when money's not flowing, the troops stop, you know, caring. Why would you get killed if you're not getting paid? So to think that, you know, right now everybody is just whining. This is the equivalent right now of when I was 18 years old and gas went up to $1 a gallon in a car that got 6 miles to a gallon, and I made $3.35 an hour. I just sucked it up and dealt with it. But to sit back and everybody, you know, armchair this, armchair that, you're not seeing. I've never heard Trump say anything about, I'm going to put boots on the ground and we're going to do this. It looks to me like he's going out of his way to do it with no casualties, you know, as best as possible. But for everybody out there, if boots, you know, on the ground is what you think it's going to be, why don't you just give him a little bit of time, okay? And, you know,
I mean, my
sure,
issue
gas
is,
expensive.
and my issue is, well, gas is expensive, and that's hurting Americans, and the guy campaigned on affordability. Like we have to be honest there. And maybe this is just a blip on the radar. Maybe gas prices come down as soon as this is over. Then the question is, when is it over? And it just feels like if we're negotiating with the Iranians, but the Iranians also lie and they drag their feet to stall negotiations, then what are we doing here? It feels like this is going to drag on for a long time.
It dragged on for 4 years under Biden with $3.50, $4.50 a gallon gasoline. And I don't recall, because I've listened to you guys since when I moved back to Tennessee and since 2003. I don't remember anybody constantly whining about gas prices under Biden.
Well, I don't know if you were listening. I don't know if you were listening. I don't know if you were listening to WTN, because we absolutely crucified Biden over gas prices. To be fair,
no, I get that.
He was making policy decisions, and it was a little bit different than a conflict. But, I mean, yes, we absolutely dinged Biden on gas prices.
Okay, but I don't think you dinged him as hard as you're dinging right now, okay? I mean, you know, mouthing off about gas prices, fine, I get that. But it's just over and over and over daily on the show. Okay, gas prices, it's hurting, you know, this, it's hurting that, you know.
I mean, but this is the conversation. This is the conversation that people are having on the ground. Like this is what Americans are talking about. This is what people that voted for Trump are talking about. You're losing so many young voters that made up such a core element of the reason why he won in 2024. You're losing independents and moderates. Like we had big tent politics. We were rocking. We were going in the right direction. It feels like all of the momentum that we had in November of 2024 has evaporated. I mean, to not call that out. Then we're in the cult that the Democrats say that we're in.
Well, you know, it was a few weeks back. I can't think of the exact time, but you made a description about talking about some of these people online. You referred to them as young men in their mother's basement playing with themselves, looking at porn because they were so scared to ask a girl out. And my question is those are the type of people that are online talking and saying, you know, this is where, you know, I can't afford this, I can't do that. Is that what this is all about? Is that who is going to be leading our country?
I mean, I think
people online?
I think you're oversimplifying that. I'm actually, when I say that I'm talking to people, it's like business owners, like salt of the earth people that are actually out there doing things, working, and then they're having a hard time getting to work because of the gas prices, and then the money that they do make is right back out the door. I mean, I know a bunch of people like that. And I mean, if we're going to say that the economy is rocking, like that's not the truth.
But to take 9 weeks out of a 4-year term, you know, I mean,
It's
just
11
blows my
weeks,
mind
and it's
how
11 weeks so
11
far.
weeks.
It's 11 weeks so far.
11
They told
weeks.
us it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, we have to call balls and strikes here, Mike.
Yeah, but you know, you've got 4 kids, and I have 2. You can't guarantee anything in your life that's going to happen in 2 weeks from now because having kids. And he's running a whole country. And I'm not a big fan of Trump's. I mean, he's kind of obnoxious in my opinion. He's funny, but he's kind of obnoxious. But I guess you got to, you know, have a big ego to do everything that, you know, pushes a person to become the president of the United States. But I just think 11 weeks and people are eating out of garbage cans, you know. I mean, I just don't get it because, you know, I've never made more than $75,000 in a year. One year when I made $6,000, that was about 10 years ago when I stayed home with my kids, and I managed to not go into bankruptcy. So, you know, I just don't get it. I just want to give you my opinion. That was about it. Okay,
Hey,
appreciate you taking the call, Chris.
And I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate you listening, Mike. It's 10:55. We're up against it. We'll take some calls on the way. We got Josh Tifo coming in studio. We'll talk to him about this as well. Also, is the election of Thomas Massey today a referendum on AIPAC? Is it less about Massey and more about AIPAC? We'll talk to Josh about that as well. 10:55, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Saturday, May 30th, the 6th annual open house with my friends at the Glock store. My name is Chris Hand. I'm going to be there along with Dan Mandis, Matt Murphy, and it's going to be an absolute blast on the 30th. No pun intended. Actually, pun intended. Pun intended. If you can make it work, we want to see you there. 10 to 2 is the time. The giveaways are going to be insane. Over $50,000 worth of gear is going to be given away on Saturday, May 30th from 10 to 2. Multiple Glock handguns, stock Glock handguns, made even more special by Select Performance products from our favorite vendors. We're going to be giving away 2 Ruger RXM handguns, one with an Aimpoint COA optic. There's going to be tons of optics to give away. Premium red dot optics from brands like Vortex, Aimpoint, Holosun, Zerotech, GS M1X frames, Glock parts, and accessories. Multiple people are going to be winning Radian Ramjets, trigger kits, Meta MX1 chassis, slides, weapon lights, even suppressors. We're also going to be giving away ammo and range gears, including from our friends at Burrow Bullets, Savior pistol cases, electronic ear protection, and more. This is all happening Saturday, May 30th at the 6th Annual Open House from 10 to 2. Get there early. If you get there early, that means there's less tickets in the bucket, which means you have a better chance of winning. Again, myself, Mandis, Murphy, we're all going to be there, and we want to see you there as well. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online, glockstore.com.
We'll have another weather forecast here momentarily. The Treasury Department's general counsel resigned yesterday after the Trump administration announced plans to move forward with a $1.8 billion fund for people who claim they were unfairly targeted by the Biden Justice Department. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more from D.C.
The top lawyer at the Treasury Department submitted his resignation just hours after the announcement of what the administration calls its anti-weaponization fund. Sources say General Counsel Brian Morrissey pushed back against some aspects of the arrangement. The plan is for a 5-member board to oversee the disbursement of $1.8 billion to those who've experienced what administration officials have called weaponization and lawfare.
Even in the face of higher prices, America's do-it-yourselfers are happy to break out the hammers and the duct tape. ABC's Jim Ryan says business remains brisk at the nation's biggest home improvement store.
The Home Depot has beaten expectations for the fiscal first quarter, ringing up sales of nearly $42 billion and reaffirming its guidance to investors for the rest of the year. The company said it continues to expect fiscal 2026 sales to grow between 2.5% and 4.5% compared to last year.
Back here in Tennessee, more than 50,000 people have signed a petition to halt the execution of Tennessee inmate Tony Carruthers. He's on death row for murdering 3 people. Carruthers was convicted back in 1994 for the first-degree murders of Marcellus Anderson, Delois Anderson, and Frederick Tucker. His execution has been scheduled for Thursday, but his case has stirred a national outcry. Late last month, his attorneys filed a complaint for relief, saying his conviction was, quote, based entirely on circumstantial evidence, including testimony from a secretly paid informant, several convicted felons, and the medical examiner's false and discredited testimony, unquote. In announcing that complaint, his attorney said that they would ask Governor Bill Lee for clemency. Last week, Kim Kardashian got in on things. She put out a plea to stop his execution, writing on her Instagram that he would be executed, quote, without testing DNA and fingerprint evidence that could prove his innocence. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Recalculating route. Estimated arrival time. Never.
For people with nasal congestion, snoring, or sleep apnea, finding a solution feels like a never-ending road trip.
First stop, my primary doctor. Then the pharmacy. Then a sleep specialist. Then an ENT.
What if there was just one destination for all your problems?
Welcome to Advent, your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care in one location. Over 95% of patients with severe nasal breathing issues report improvement. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
You have arrived at Clear Breathing.
Information fueled. Opinion driven.
Government is not the solution to our problem.
The Chris Hand Show.
Government is the problem.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by my friend Josh Tifo. What's up, Josh? How are you?
Living the dream. I'm on the Chris Hand Show.
Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You can listen on all the apps, the FM dial. You can watch us as well on YouTube and Rumble. Getting a lot of pushback. I'm getting called a female by some. And the audience is so divided on the Iran war. And it's like, but the people that are for the war get viscerally angry whenever you push back against it. So I've been of the opinion that, okay, if we have to bomb our way through it, nuke them. Nuke them. Get it over with quick.
No, I wouldn't say nuke them,
well,
but
I'm saying nuke them.
I'm saying
drop multiple nukes so that, end it as quickly as possible, or cut bait and go home.
So that the direction is correct. You either go big or you go home. Now, I wouldn't go as far as saying that we should nuke them, but your instinct is correct. Right now, Trump needs to go big or he needs to go home. This whole being kind of in war for months and for years, it doesn't work. And Chris, I just wish we had some historical frame of reference that the United States was involved in some multi-year conflict with Middle Eastern nations. I wish that we could look back and see if it worked or not.
Honestly. And this is the other problem. People are advocating for boots on the ground. And I'm like, you do realize we have a current veteran suicide epidemic going on in this country. I think the last time the numbers were broached, it's like 33 veterans are committing suicide a day. And you can directly correlate that with Iraq and Afghanistan. But I'm anti-American for pushing back against this conflict.
Yeah, it's a mess. But
meanwhile, we got $4 gas, and I think that we're losing young voters, but we're also hurting the elderly widow who is working 52 hours a week trying to make ends meet. Like, so when you campaign on affordability and no forever wars, I like President Trump. I voted for him 6 times. I think he's doing a lot of good things. I think it is only appropriate and fair that we call balls and strikes on this conflict.
So what does Trump need to do? I mean, we need to get out of Iran as soon as possible. And if that means that you got to go big before you go home, then now's the time to go big.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'll be honest with what I'm hearing from young Americans, especially young men. Almost everyone I know under the age of 30, and most of the people I know under the age of 40 are outraged with what they're seeing right now. And they're telling me some version of, I voted for Trump, so this wouldn't happen. That's what I'm hearing from 30-year-olds in the United States right now.
Well, and I've said it on the show, and it makes people upset, but if Kamala Harris was president, and in June of 2025, she did Operation Midnight Hammer, let's say all things were equal, at least when it comes to Iran. Nothing else would be equal, but let's say all things were equal when it comes to Iran. If she did Operation Midnight Hammer, and she said we completely obliterated their nuclear program, and then we fast forward to we're in May of 2026, and we're in the middle of a conflict with Iran. Conservative radio would be playing that clip over and over and over again until the cows came home and said, I thought it was completely obliterated. I thought we were done with this.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're correct. And there are very powerful, very bad people who have a tremendous amount of influence with Democrats, a tremendous amount of influence with Republicans, and I'm not talking about a foreign nation. I'm talking about the military-industrial complex. And yes, there's a lot of foreign nations in the mix on this too. There are lots of powerful people domestically, and there are lots of powerful people outside of this country who want us to be in that state of constant war. It's a very lucrative business, and it's very good for our enemies, and it's very good for some of our allies for us to be in constant war. And also, it weakens, and if we're in this situation for years, it will crush the MAGA movement, this rage against the establishment that could have been the refounding of our country. This will derail all of that if we do not get out of Iran sooner rather than later. And I agree with you. You got to go big. You got to go big. Not as big as you're saying. That's not what I'm advocating for. But you got to go big and then go home. That is the way that we get out of this.
I think just 3 or 4 nukes would solve the problem.
I mean, we did 2. I mean, in the 20th century, it was pretty big.
Yeah, listen, I think it would be over overnight. But in the meantime, they're like, no, we're negotiating, and negotiations are going well. But we also were told that Iranians lie and drag their feet for negotiations. And then we also heard that the negotiations were happening before, but then they were crap, and then they were happening before. And then we won, and then we were still at war, and then we were negotiating, and then we won again.
Well, here's the elephant in the room. entering a conflict with a nation like Iran is as close to a no-win situation as you can get, because you're dealing with a nation of people. Let's say that you get rid of the worst people. Let's say that you wipe out the leadership, and I know we wiped out a lot of the leadership at the very start. You're still dealing with a nation of a bunch of crazy Muslim men who love the fact that they live in a fundamentalist society where they can beat their wives when they're sick of them. They can throw their kid out of the window when they're sick of them. You can get rid of the leadership, but most of the men in that nation are rotten, and they are incapable of self-governance. So, I mean, what's your goal? Do you think that you're just going to give them the right to vote and everything's going to magically be fixed? I mean, I'll take you all the way back to the Founding Fathers and how John Adams said over and over again some version of our government is only going to work for a moral and religious people. The Constitution can only govern a moral and religious people. You don't just magically show up and say they're voting, now they're going to be like America, or at least they're kind of going to be like America. We saw this in Iraq. It was a fool's errand.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like this is going to end well. And in the meantime, we're losing a lot of the momentum and a lot of the base that got Donald Trump elected the first time.
And that doesn't mean that we've lost all hope. Trump can go big and he can get out. And if he goes big and gets out, then he will deliver on his promise, which is no more forever wars. He has a chance to keep this from becoming a forever war, and that's what I hope and pray happens.
What do you think the odds of that are?
I'm not going to put odds on it.
I'd say right now 30%.
I know people who are very informed who are telling me they think that we're going to be there for over a year. And
I think that's disastrous.
That would be an absolute catastrophe.
We were talking about, I mean, in November of 2024, we were talking about 16 years of conservative rule. Okay? And if we lose the midterms, we lose the White House. And I've said it on the show, I have less heartburn about the midterms currently because of the redistricting wars. We're picking up a lot of extra seats. I think that we skate by and we hold the majority. It's still going to be slim, but I think we skate by. That being said,
do you think we skate by if we're still in Iran on Election Day?
I do.
I don't think we do.
Really?
I don't think we do.
I think we have like a 2 or 3 seat majority.
So the redistricting helps us, but it's not just what I'm getting from young Americans. It's what I'm hearing from, working Americans, the blue-collar base that delivered 2024 for us. I mean, these people, they voted for Trump primarily so that we would avoid forever wars and instead put focus on making everyday life more affordable here in the States. And there's no way that $4 gas and escalating food prices will get that done. We have to get out of Iran, or we're not going to have a shot in the midterms.
I got a text earlier that said, well, how do you win over these fickle young voters? I don't think they're fickle at all.
They're not fickle. They voted for Trump because he promised no forever wars, and he promised that he would make the American dream affordable.
I think you get
Why on earth would we be able to keep these people if we do not avoid forever wars and do not make the American dream affordable?
I think that the big thing that we need to do if you want to win over young people is, it's 3 things really, and I think that you could do it very, very quickly. You get back to focusing on domestic issues, you lower gas prices, you lower home prices, you make the American dream affordable again. And then I think a secondary issue, a bit ancillary, is pushing back on AI. I think that these data centers that are being funded by networks like the Koch brothers, very unpopular amongst young voters. And we look at it and we see what's going on in China, and we're like, this is a mass surveillance state being set up here in America. And before we know it, all of these data centers are going to be built, and then it's going to be you can't herd those cats anymore. It's already out. It's out of the bag.
So, did you watch any of the Tucker Carlson Kevin O'Leary debate on this? I think it was last week.
I saw clips. I didn't see the entire thing.
Yeah, it was pretty fascinating. So, 2 things are true at the same time. Number 1, AI is essentially our generation's version of nuclear technology. And even if you ignore all of the ways that it's going to change the way that work looks in America, it is the defining technology that will determine militarily who has the strongest military, who has the best drones, who has the best humanoid robot drones. As weird as that sounds, that's what the future of warfare is going to look like very soon. China already has plans to convert a lot of their car factories. Right now, you're hearing about how they're trying to flood the international market with electric cars. They already have plans to turn those car part factories into humanoid robot part factories like that when it's time to just make, I'm not even kidding, make like Star Wars style droids that are the future of warfare. And some of them can fly, like all kinds of weird stuff.
It sounds disastrous and scary enough when you just go, China's going to flood the car market across the world with electric cars, because there's going to be a back door into every one of those vehicles.
And that is very bad. But beyond that, what I'm saying is, let's say that we do what would be very politically popular right now, and we say we're not going to do anything to help these data centers. In fact, we're going to shut them down. We're going to give the American people what they want. And then 20 years from now, China is the undisputed military superpower in the world. So two things are true at the same time. Number one, if we do not win the AI technology race, China is going to run the world in 20, 30 years. Number two, that does not mean that we just write a blank check to technology companies, let them do whatever they want to communities, let them do whatever they want to the environment, and by the way, just give them tons of taxpayer money and then keep all the equity from the business that they're building. That's also equally insane. You need to treat this like a military technology. And I'll tell you what the advice I gave to the crowd at UT Knoxville when I spoke a couple of years ago. I said, you need to understand and implement AI in your work life, honestly, if you're just going to survive in what the next era of corporate culture is going to look like. And then you need to aggressively protect your personal life and your marriage and your family from AI. So there's a section of your posterior hippocampus that either enlarges or shrinks depending on how much you exercise your spatial awareness. So, for example, this section is huge in cab drivers because they just know what it's like to drive around New York City or drive around London or drive around Nashville or whatever it may be. And for almost all of us in the age of GPS, it's tiny because it's not exercised, because we don't need it. And our brains are very smart. We're like, why would I expend energy and why would I grow this sector of the brain if I know I have a device that's going to do that for me? So heavy AI use in every area of life is doing that with 20 tasks. It's doing that with writing. It's doing that with basic math. It's doing that with creative thinking. It's doing that with analyzing the argument you had with your wife to decide what you're going to say. I'm hearing crazy stories like people people recording arguments with their wife and like loading it into ChatGPT and saying, what 3 points should I make to shut down this argument so that she feels utterly defeated?
Well, there's a whole South Park episode about that where Stan is like the dream boyfriend and nobody understands why. And he's like, well, I've just been running her text through ChatGPT and then
so we
pumping out exactly what she needs to hear.
We joke about this, but this is death of civilization stuff. I was talking to a high schooler, one of the most prestigious, and I use air quotes, prestigious high schools in Tennessee, here in Nashville. And he told me that he has to cheat with AI because everyone else is cheating with AI and he can't compete with the rest of his class if he doesn't.
That's crazy.
Think about the way that it is dismembering what we know as education. So treat it like nuclear technology. Look, I hate that we figured out how to split the atom and that there's all these nations who can just vaporize humanity today if some dominoes fell and the worst happened. I wish that we could go back in time and that nobody had invented it. I wish that the AI era was never here, but it's here. And if America doesn't win, then China and or other nations will win, and we will be subservient to them in 10, 20, 30 years. We need to understand that, but also not let these companies run roughshod over the American people and do whatever they want.
But that's the big question. How do you safeguard, especially for America's youth coming up, jobs? I mean, these kids are looking at it. They're like, man, my dad worked his way through college and had an apartment in San Diego working part-time at Jack in the Box. He's like, and I can barely afford gas working part-time at Kroger. And then you look at the incoming AI, he's like, and then I'm going to get a bunch of college debt and the job that I'm training for isn't even going to be there. How do we put safeguards in place for these younger Americans? Because that needs to be prioritized.
So I don't have the answer on what we can do to protect American society from this because, I hate that I'm saying this. I wouldn't be surprised if there's half as many jobs in the country in 15, 20 years. Half. Think about the societal and political implications of that. But those who keep their jobs and especially those who own businesses in the AI era will be able to build tremendous wealth and they'll be able to do it quickly. So I'll give our listeners the advice that I give to students when I speak on campus. I'm not God. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the president. I'm not overseeing the incoming AI economy. I'm not overseeing the nation. I'm not responsible for the nation. But what I can tell you is you can make sure you're on the right side of this. So think, are you studying something that AI, that robots will take over in 5-10 years? So you probably don't want to go into accounting. You probably don't want to go into law. There are going to be far fewer jobs available. And already, and one thing that I do just to learn about this topic, as I speak with business owners just around the country, I ask them how they're implementing it, what's happening, and I'm getting some frightening answers.
Well, hold those answers. Let's talk about the frightening answers that you're getting from business owners on the other side. It's 11:21. We got Josh Tifo in studio. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And they all talk to each other.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults. You heard me talk a lot about these guys. They're our veteran-owned, family-run safe and vault door business right here in Middle Tennessee. AI won't steal your gun, but criminals will, so you should be looking into a safe. And let's be honest, a lot of us want a safe, but we've been putting it off because we got to figure out which one to buy, where to put it, how to get it installed. Well, this is exactly what Aaron and his sons are going to help you take care of. They'll help you choose the best safe for your needs and your budget. They'll offer advice on the best place to put it. They'll deliver it, and then they'll carefully and discreetly install it themselves. For starters, you can jump on their YouTube page and find a detailed video review of every single safe that they have in stock, and that's Parker Safes on YouTube. And Aaron told me that after you figure out which one you like, give them a call because they have a ton of great deals on safes in stock right now. Now, these aren't safes built for marketing that can be tipped over and pried open by a teenager. These are quality safes from brands like American Security, Rhino, Liberty, Heyman, and more. Don't put it off any longer. Call my friend Aaron today. You're going to be glad you did. 931-842-6445. 931-842-6445. It's Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. And if you buy a safe from Aaron and you mention the Chris Hand Show, you'll get a free pistol safe while supplies last. ParkerSafes.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. I'm here with Chris from USS, United Structural Systems. He's checking out my basement, my foundation, my crawl space to see if there's anything wrong. Fingers crossed. All right, so there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is we found some cracks in my basement wall. The good news, I've got Chris here who's going to walk me through the next steps.
Yes, so unfortunately, your house has been subject to the pressure of the dirt. The hydrostatic pressure, heavy dirt pushes on foundation walls, and you got a little bit of what we call bowing. So that wall is pushed in a little bit. But we have a lifetime warranty solution for that. So we install, usually in a day or two, this can be done in most situations. We install carbon fiber straps, which keep the wall from moving inward at any point in the future. It's a lifetime warranty for anybody that ever owns this house. So it's a quick and routine thing that we do, but it yields some long-lasting benefits.
It's a great selling point if you want to sell your house.
Absolutely. Good thing about our warranties is they're not only transferable, like the contract says, they're automatically transferred when you sell your house. So you don't have to sign any paperwork or even send us an email saying that you sold your house. Warranty would transfer to the next owner.
Talbot's Corner, we got a crash, 65 southbound before the downtown split. That's going to be exit 86. It's off on the right shoulder. Waiting to see if the NFL is going to grant Nashville the Super Bowl, and President Trump is offering a different timeline on Iran. We'll tell you about that coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. We got Josh Tifo in studio. We're talking about AI. Right before the break, you said that you've been talking to business leaders And you said that what they're telling you is terrifying.
So it's terrifying for the nation and for the economy if you're looking at it from a perspective of who's going to still have jobs. It's amazing for business owners and for people who are embracing the AI era. I'll just tell a story. So I was at my friend's house last week, and he owns a pretty large national business. And he pulls up one of his computers and shows me how he built this army of AI agents based off of the ChatGPT backend code, and how he used them to replace almost all of his marketing, advertising, and IT staff, stateside and abroad, to run all of his national businesses. And he did it with like a $29.99 membership, just figuring out how to do it on his own. That is what the future of AI looks like. Businesses that used to need 80 employees are going to need 20 employees. So you need to understand how to use it. And look, there are big existential questions we can ask. There are big political questions we can ask. My personal advice to everyone listening is make sure you're on the right side of it.
I got a text here from a guy named Brian. He said, my daughter graduated in 2021 with an art degree in graphic design. Pretty much useless now.
So it's tough unless she wants to get on the right side of it and start a firm that creates graphic design solutions heavily leaning on AI. Maybe she has 2 people working for her, and with AI, her and her 2 staff do the work of what used to be like an office full of 40, 50 graphic designers. If you're in an industry that's getting replaced or mostly replaced by AI dev, then if you absolutely love what you do, like let's say you're a graphic designer or a lawyer or an accountant, you've got to get on the right side of it and quickly get to work building a system that leans on AI that you own. You have to own it.
So how do you fix this so that way young men in this country aren't getting squeezed from both sides? Because you're going to get squeezed by AI, and you're also getting squeezed by H-1B visas who are coming in and undercutting you at the exact same time.
So we should have absolutely no H-1B visas. So I just said on air that I wouldn't be surprised if after all this optimization that there are half as many jobs in the United States. And then I said off air that it could be more like 1/3. So if that is the case, should we be giving any jobs to anyone who is not an American unless they have just extraordinary abilities? Like they're one of the best in the world at something and they have one of those extraordinary ability visas, not H-1B visas. We shouldn't be giving out any H-1B visas. And I know a lot of people in both parties would get very mad at me, but if there's any chance that what I'm saying is true and that in 10, 20 years there could be half as many jobs in the United States of America, why on earth would we be giving any of those to anyone not currently in America?
Amen. And that needs to start now. Like
I agree.
That
It needs
doesn't
to start right now.
Like I think we need an immigration moratorium in this country. We need to focus on getting the people that are here illegally out. We need to focus on getting the ones that are here illegally assimilated. I mean, that has been left by the wayside. But it feels like, especially young men in this country, have been screwed over at every different angle.
Yep, I agree 110%. And that doesn't mean that there's no hope. I mean, in 10 years, the young men who are going to be living a nice life, living the country club life at a young age, will be those who get really good at tangible hands-on tasks, HVAC, electricity.
But the flip side of that are the guys that don't do it then fall into the traps of communism and universal basic income.
That is where a lot of people are going to land very quickly. There is actually a way societally you can turn the fact that there's going to be much fewer jobs, but more higher paying jobs, into a blessing if most American households switch to the classic traditional Americana idea of a breadwinner and then someone who wants to stay home with the kids. That actually is a way that it all works, because essentially you're going to have fewer jobs and they're going to be higher paid.
So everybody,
how would that work? Oh, well, I mean, it could be amazing if, let's say, that you had a generation of young Americans where the wife wanted to stay at home and raise a bunch of kids, and the husband wanted to go off to work.
So a lot of people are saying, but if there's no jobs, there's no buying power, then how do you have any businesses working? And that kind of leads me back to that communism, universal basic income.
So here's the thing. There will still be buying power, and the economy will be stronger than ever because the people with the existing jobs will make a lot more money. So think about my example where...
I mean, essentially, you're squeezing out the middle class.
Yeah, AI will obliterate almost all of the middle class.
Terrifying. We'll talk more about this on the other side. It's 11:31. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, let's see what's in the way right now. Yes, right here, South Nashville, Murfreesboro Pike and Foster Avenue, you got a crash. Injury crash, Bell Road, just south of Elm Hill Pike. Well, guess what, Nashville? You're going to host a Super Bowl in 2030. The NFL owners have voted to grant Nashville Super Bowl 64 in that brand new stadium that is set to be completed next year. Super Bowl 64 will be in 2030. President Trump offering a different timeline on what additional military action the U.S. may take in Iran. The president has rejected the Iranian response to a U.S. memorandum to restart talks. The U.S. and Iran far apart on whether Iran could develop a nuclear program. The U.S. wants it halted for at least 20 years, while Iran says its program is for peaceful purposes. At the White House, at the construction site for his ballroom, the president said he was an hour away from ordering more strikes on Iran this week and said Gulf allies pressured him to hold off.
Yeah, it was all done. The boats, the ships are all loaded. They're loaded to the brim, and we're all set to start.
3 adult men, one of whom was a security guard, killed in that shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego yesterday. The suspects were an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old. ABC's Trevor Ault is in San Diego with the latest.
Sources tell ABC News that investigators are looking at those 2 teenagers, Kane Clark and Caleb Vasquez, as the suspects in this shooting. Police said after they got that warning call from one of their mothers, they were searching all over San Diego. They sent officers to a mall, even to the high school of one of the suspects. They were still searching for that vehicle when they got the call about shots fired here at the Islamic Center.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Dr. Mitch over at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I don't know how this guy keeps doing it, but he's leveled up again. And I'm putting my seal of approval all over it. Dr. Mitchell just built an insane new device called Medical Bay 1. It's like climbing into a healing spaceship. You're talking full-body lasers, red light, near-infrared, stem cell stimulation, and photon healing that is going to wake up your cells for healing the way God intended. You're going to get massaged while it regenerates tissue. This feels futuristic, and spoiler alert, it actually works. These guys are also leading the game in non-surgical spinal decompression. You're going to get real relief from Dr. Mitch without the push of painful injections, without a guy trying to prescribe you opioids, and there's never going to be a conversation about surgery. That's not the ideal situation and not the way Dr. Mitch does business. Right now, you can take advantage of the Epic Spinal Special, which means $33 off every single visit for you, so you can get back to a pain-free life very, very quick. It starts with a click, painisbad.com, or a phone call, 615-246-5009. That's painisbad.com or 615-246-5009. Launch your pain-free voyage today with the Wellness Institute of Nashville, painisbad.com. 1137, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got Josh Tifo in studio. A lot of, we've been talking a lot about young voters, really circling around the incoming AI apocalypse, the Iran war. And I think that an important piece of discussion to have today is this election going on just to the north of us in Kentucky. Thomas Massie. Is the election going on in Kentucky less about Thomas Massie and more about AIPAC?
It's 100% about AIPAC. This election is essentially a referendum on how the people of Kentucky feel about AIPAC.
So can you explain what AIPAC does?
So essentially they are an American nonprofit that does pro-Israel lobbying, and there are lots of people in the political world who say that they should have to register as a foreign lobbying group. And think about what I just said to describe them. If their purpose is to lobby for another nation, then why are they an American nonprofit and not registering as a foreign lobbying group? If there is a foreign lobbying group for Peru, they would have to register as a foreign lobbying group.
This was Thomas Massie yesterday.
Unfortunately, it's turned into whether Israel gets to buy seats in Congress. And what they found out is that my seats are really expensive. They've probably, when this is over, will have spent $20 million and come up short.
So why is Israel the only country that gets to buy elections in the United States? Or does any other country get to? Is this
you know, I've never seen Great Britain or Australia or even Germany play in our elections here in the United States, but Israel gets so much from the United States. It's a one-sided relationship. They get us to be their proxies in wars that they want against their enemies. They get our military assistance, they get our technology, they get our bombs, they get our tax dollars. And I think it's a very one-sided relationship. At least with NATO, we pretend that they would come to our aid someday if we needed it. And even that's a ruse.
So that's Thomas Massie yesterday. I played that on the show. I think that there's a lot of room for actual conversation around Israel, but I think that it gets skewed, and it's because of just blatant anti-Semitism and people painting with a broad brush. It's the Jews. And that's like, okay, great. Half of Israel doesn't like Benjamin Netanyahu. Before October 7th, half of Israel was protesting Benjamin Netanyahu, and they want him in prison. So I think that it's the Jews talking point. It actually ruins a real conversation that we need to have when it comes to how much money should we be giving the nation of Israel every year in foreign aid? How much of an ally are they? And should a group like AIPAC be influencing our elections? Is that fair?
I think that's fair. And I will say Massie overstated the situation when he said that it's a one-sided relationship. Israel definitely gets a lot more from America than America gets from Israel. But we do share technology. They do help give us a lot of information. I know a lot of people have strong opinions on Mossad, but they've been pretty effective over the years and have sometimes given America very important intel. At the end of the day, we should treat Israel like we treat any other important geopolitical ally. We should be ready to work with them. We should be ready to defend them if it makes sense for the American interest. We should be ready to partner with them if it makes sense for the American interest. And we shouldn't be sending them any money when we are tens of trillions of dollars in debt. If you're in massive credit card debt, if you're in $173,000 of credit card debt, should you just be giving money to people you know? No. So that's essentially what we're doing times 1,000. And I'm not saying that Israel's not an important geopolitical ally. They are an island of a kind of free nation in a sea of Muslim totalitarian nations. And it's natural that they would be an ally for us. Just because they're an ally doesn't mean that they get to buy seats in Congress through a nonprofit that's pretending to be an American nonprofit. Just because they're an ally doesn't mean that we should be sending them billions of dollars.
Well, and Massie's been on the record before saying every member of Congress has an AIPAC guy. Every single member. That seems like a lot of influence without having to register as a foreign agent.
So what is important to note there is that there's a lot of powerful interests in our government who are trying to work every member of Congress, whether you're talking about corporate lobbyists, whether you're talking about the military-industrial complex. That's not too strong of a talking point because there's lots of interests trying to work every member of Congress. But the one thing to me that makes no sense is why we don't require AIPAC to be registered as a foreign lobbyist organization.
If Massey wins his election today, does it change the calculation for AIPAC moving forward, where they're not going to dump in millions upon millions of dollars to get rid of anti-AIPAC congresspeople? Or are they going to continue business as usual?
I think that it would actually do the opposite. If Massey wins, it's going to make AIPAC raise even more money and spend even more money. Because the reality is that you can buy most seats in Congress. So the Massey situation is different because a lot of people know who he is, and he's a rabble-rouser, and he has national name ID. So there's a reason why over 90% of congressional races are won by whoever spends more money. Because in most of these races, I mean, it's not someone like Thomas Massey, who a lot of people love and a lot of people hate, who gets in fights with the president and all that. If it's somebody who doesn't have that name ID, then a special interest can come in and wipe you out rather easily.
Well, and it's important to point out that there's a lot of conservatives that have been black-pilled on the Israel topic, and they don't want anything to do with it anymore because they feel like we're fighting Israel's wars in the Middle East. But people don't have anything to say when AIPAC takes out Jamal Bowman or Cori Bush because they have anti-Israel views.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, if we believe that they're just the lobbying extension of the nation of Israel, then sometimes they're going to help us, sometimes they're going to hurt us. They're probably going to help us more than they're going to hurt us because Israel is an important ally for us. But at the end of the day, the pro-America view on this is that everything has to be looked at through the lens of what's best for the American people, especially given the conversation we had the first part of the hour. The AI age is here, and we are about to enter a national economic emergency just with the number of jobs that will disappear from the American economy as AI optimizes the way that we do business. So if it's going to get harder and harder for everyday people to put food on the table, harder and harder for everyday people to put their family in decent homes, harder and harder for everyday people to keep their family safe, then should we be doing more or less outside of our borders as the situation here gets more dire? It's an easy answer. We need to focus on the people here.
Yeah. So how do we do that with an outside foreign lobbying group like this?
Well, I mean, there are plenty of outside foreign lobbying groups. Make them register, make AIPAC register as a foreign lobbying group, and then look at what they do and what all of our other allies do through the lens of what is best for the United States of America.
What would change, and would anything change overnight if they did have to register as a foreign agent?
Yes, it would change everything. So foreign entities and foreign donors are not allowed to give 501c4 money, PAC money, and direct political donations. Only Americans can. So it is dramatically harder for an organization to spend political money in a huge way like they're doing against Thomas Massey if they have to register as a foreign lobbying group. Foreign lobbying groups can't do that. They can do C3 work all day long. They cannot do C4 work. They cannot do PAC work. They cannot do election work.
So how have they been able to skirt this for so long? Are they an Israeli lobby masquerading as a Jewish lobby?
In a way. And there are lots of Americans who give them money, and that's where it's very tricky. But they've done what the big banks have done, what the military-industrial complex have done. They have made very powerful friendships on both sides of the aisle so that whoever's in power, they're doing totally fine. No different than what we see from a lot of the other corrupt entities throughout the ages. Big Sugar cozied up to Republicans and Democrats for decades and decades and decades. And it's not even entering popular culture that you shouldn't be consuming tons of added sugar until like the last 5-10 years because of that. Because these big sugar lobbyists threw tons of money at the Republicans, threw tons of money at the Democrats, and then all of a sudden, 8-year-olds are getting tons of sugar in their school lunches, and they're addicted to sugar, and they're drinking Coca-Cola their whole life, and they're struggling with obesity and diabetes and heart disease and all these things. A lot of these corrupt entities, they buy both parties. They buy the leaderships of both parties.
How do we get rid of lobbying altogether? Like,
So
is it even possible? Is it within the realm of possibilities that we could get away from it? You know, I feel like we're at a point now, especially with social media, where you can do a lot on your own to raise your name recognition and your credibility, get it established. We don't need these outside groups any longer. Like, we don't need the money for TV ads. We don't really need these donations. You can do a campaign that's effective. Fishbach out of Florida, he's running an effective campaign in Florida, and he's not taking a lot of this outside money.
And he's running an effective campaign especially with young Floridians. but he's still a long shot because, and there are some kind of demographic reasons why he's a long shot in Florida. You're right that you can get these off the ground, but it's important that you mentioned a statewide race. So with national races, you can win with overarching themes. Trump in 2016 is the perfect example. He was outspent in the most outlandish way we will ever see in a modern day presidential campaign and won, because you have enough people who care about it that it's not just a spending race. It's not just about name ID. It's not just about who can buy the most smear ads on the other guy through an outside group. You see some version of that with a statewide race, especially in a very big state like Florida. It's almost like a mini presidential race. When you get down to congressional and lower, then it's very easy to buy those seats. The sweet spot for a lobbyist being able to buy a seat is U.S. House and state Senate, which is why there are so many corrupt members of the U.S. House, so many corrupt members of the state Senate. And there's a reason for that. When you get to state House and below, state House and alderman and dog catcher and school board.
Or like Soros, attorney general.
You have, and that'd be a statewide race.
Yep.
So you can win a statewide race with overarching messages, and you can win state House and below with just grassroots might. You're going to knock everyone's door 3 times, and you're going to really get to know the voters and just put in a year of work, and you're going to beat the corrupt interests. There are too many people to do that, generally, for state Senate and U.S. House races. And there's not enough overall public sentiment. People don't care enough compared to a statewide and a national race. And that is why the bad guys buy almost every state Senate and U.S. House seat in the United States.
How do we flip it for the American people to make the emphasis on these smaller local races as opposed to the waiting until the presidential race to vote?
I mean, you just have to make it cool, make it culturally acceptable, make it culturally important to be a citizen. We are a democratic republic. We are a government by the people and for the people, which means that we're not going to survive unless at least most of the people take up that responsibility and they care who's representing them at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. So you need to convince people to care more. You wouldn't be able to buy most U.S. House seats as a lobbyist if most of the people in that district knew/cared who their congressional representative was. And right now, one thing that is a big roadblock there, a lot of people in America, they're black-pilled to the whole political
100%.
class. They are sick of the Republicans, and they're really sick of the Democrats, which, by the way, is how we can still win some national elections, which is great, because they're more sick of the Democrats than they are of us, which is good. But that does not incentivize political engagement. That makes people less motivated, not more motivated, because they just don't like everyone involved. Because a lot of people, especially if you're struggling to make ends meet, it's easy to look at the Democrats and look at the Republicans and say, neither of these parties represent me right now.
Is there going to be a return to feeling like we're represented, or is this just going to get worse?
So as I see it now, it's going in a negative direction, but you can turn it around if the Republican Party gets serious about affordability, obsesses over the idea. And Trump has already done his part, and Congress has already done their part on the home affordability aspect. Trump went to war over the Fed, replaced the Fed chair. The One Big Beautiful Bill had all kinds of measures in it that make it easier for young families to buy homes. A lot of things that are going to make it easier for home builders to build more low to mid-cost housing supply, so the homes that young families need to get out of apartments and move their family into a home. There were also a handful of executive orders Trump issued that helped to that effect. So
they started making private entities be able to buy these homes, like the BlackRocks of the world.
Yeah, and Trump's going to war with them over that. So I give Trump an A on that. On that issue, he's done a great job. But that's not enough. I mean, let's say that you did it. You spent years fighting to make it easier for young families to buy homes, for working class people to buy homes. But now gas is so high that they can't save up enough money to buy a home. I mean, you see where that's a significant problem.
Yep.
We need to, I'll take it back to what you were talking about an hour ago. We need to go big in Iran and then go home. We need to go big and go home.
Josh Tifo's in studio. Closing thoughts, and then where can we keep up with you?
So I do want to go back to what we talked about with AI and the personal advice I kind of started issue. I know we went into a break. AI is here. I wish that we could go back in time and uninvent it, just like I wish we could go back in time and uninvent splitting the atom and nuclear technology and the way that changed geopolitics, the way that's killed and hurt a lot of people. I know that there are lots of benefits with energy and all that, but still, I think humanity would be better off without that. Humanity would be better off without generative AI. It is going to completely change the fabric of society. A lot of hardworking people are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people who spent years and small fortunes earning degrees are going to all of a sudden wake up one morning and say these skills are not needed in the economy anymore. It's going to be very tough. But what are you going to do? You can't go back in time. You have to make sure for your good and for the good of your family and your future family that you're on the right side of this. So you need to do things that require working with your hands. In 10 years, the people who are going to be living high on the hog at a country club are going to be the guys who are really good at HVAC, who are really good electricians, and the people in the industries that are getting optimized and replaced with AI who actually own the systems. So most of the accounting jobs in America will be gone. But if you own the accounting firm and you do a ton of work with 2 employees instead of 20, you're making a lot of money and you're paying your 2 guys a lot of money. Make sure you're on the right side of this. It is the most important thing, one of the most important things that you'll ever hear me say on this show. The economy as we know it is about to completely flip. You need to make sure you're on the right side of this for you and for your family.
Where can we find you on social media?
At Josh Tifo, T-H-I-F-A-U-L-T, at Josh Tifo, T-H-I-F-A-U-L-T.
It's 11:53. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Cover Nash. And if you think you have to wait until the fall for open enrollment to get yourself some health insurance, that's wrong. That's what the big companies want you to believe. It's actually the biggest myth in health insurance. You could actually talk to my friend Shane Ring right now with Cover Nash and get covered today. No waiting, no gimmicks. You missed open enrollment, no problem. You lost your job coverage, that's tough. Shane can help you out. If you're just sick of overpriced junk insurance, if you're not sure if your insurance is just overpriced junk, talk to Shane today. See, Cover Nash partners with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, and we're talking brand-new nationwide PPO options with deductibles as low as $250, flat $50 doctor visits, free, ACA-compliant plans with free preventative care. Not that you're excited about a colonoscopy, but at least you're not paying for it. Plans for individuals, families, self-employed folks, even small businesses. Stop overpaying, stop waiting, stop thinking you're stuck. Call Shane Ring today, 615-465-0023, 615-465-0023, or you can book some time online at covernash.com. That's covernash.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and this morning we are out and about at my house, my brand new house that I've been talking about on the radio, with Nate from USS. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm excellent. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
We invited Nate out. Now, obviously, when you're a new homeowner, especially when you buy a house that's got a few years on it, you don't know what you're dealing with in terms of foundation. And I know that Nate knows a lot more about what I don't see and what I don't know about than I do. So bring the experts out and get them to check out your house. Hey guys, Matt Murphy again with Nate with USS, and Nate has just wrapped up kind of a look at the house. And Nate, what'd you find?
Well, your house is in pretty good shape for the age of it. I had to look pretty hard to find.
Okay.
Your house being on a slope like it is here, I think we could do a lot of good by trying to terminate your downspouts a little further from the house there.
Okay.
Roof water is the killer of foundations, and so if we can just get it to a positive grade to drain away from your house, I think that's real cheap insurance.
You want to kind of get it out and downhill.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
So
the idea.
make sure that it doesn't come right back down towards the foundation walls, causing issues, settlement, or leakage.
Now, if folks are watching this video and they are like, we need to get Nate out to the house to do a look. I mean, I watched you do it. It's, 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
To do a comprehensive kind of an examination around the house. And they just give you a call and schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call our main phone number, or you can call reach USSTN.com and schedule right through the website there. Our girls in the call center will get back to you just about immediately, as long as it's during business hours. So
this just makes a lot of sense, folks, for you guys to do an examination of your house like we've done, to check it out. I'm going to get those gutters done with Nate and his team at USS, and then we'll do a video and let you know how those look at the end of all of this. So thank you, guys.
Hey, that'd be great.
We appreciate you, brother.
Matt,
All
we
right.
appreciate you.
I'm going max aggression. 11:59, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. We got Mason Fleming producing. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Chad's in here. Hey, Mason.
Did you get your tickets, Mason?
You get your concert tickets? You spent. I don't know if anybody noticed. Mason didn't talk really at all during the show because there were 20,000 people in front of him in line to get tickets to a concert where you're not going to enjoy yourself.
One of the first times I met Mason, he comes up to me, he goes, I'm going to Birmingham this weekend. I'm like, why? He goes, 21 Pilots. It's like the 48th time I've seen
He's gone to every single 21 Pilots concert ever.
He's gone to more shows than 21 Pilots has gone to.
How, did you get your tickets?
No.
I knew you wouldn't.
Well, so
I knew he wouldn't. I said to him, you're not going to get them.
There were 50,000 people trying to access the site all at once, and as I was purchasing my ticket, the site crashed. That was very frustrating.
So you ignored my whole show.
I got joked about by you. I got roasted by you. I got destroyed in the comments. And then when I got to get up to get my tickets to finally justify myself and be like, you know what? I got them. They didn't go.
When's your birthday?
January.
Oh, dude, I was going to say I'll get them for your birthday, but sorry, I'm not going to do that now.
We'll get you the Ohio tickets for next year. You got those.
12 o'clock. Chad's in next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good job, Mason.